While the Kid LAROI is mainly known for his sad, emotional lyrics and melodies, the production behind some of his music is super energetic. Some examples would be Baby I'm Back, Deserve You, Where Do You Sleep, and a few others. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make an energetic sample type of beat just like that, but completely from scratch. Jumping right into it, I got this lo-fi piano from his free plugin called Scratchpad, and I came up with this progression. It does look like there is a lot going on, but if you break it down, it's pretty simple. This is literally 3 bass notes and 3 different octaves, just pitched up a bunch, kind of fills up the space a little bit, then finishing out the triads, adding some filler notes within the key. I'd say this in all my videos, you just gotta really try stuff out, add notes to the triads that you already came up with, see what sounds good to you, and then go in and add some rhythm to it. Like right here, this is just an example of adding some rhythm, kind of make it feel like someone's actually playing this. Another good way to give off the vibe that somebody's actually playing it is to hit Option R and randomize all the velocities down here. I already did that, as you can tell. Also coming into some of the chords, pressing Option S, and this will open up the strummer, again giving it that feel that somebody's actually playing it and it's not just MIDI. For the effects, I have a compressor doing quite a bit of reduction. I want to give it a vintage feel, so I squashed the hell out of this piano. Pretty simple EQ, boosting some of the mid highs right here, taking out some of the unwanted frequencies, and then cutting out all the low end. This plugin is from Arturia. It's called Tape Mellify. It's basically like RC20 kind of. It gives it like a flutter and a wobble. You can add noise. I didn't with this one. You can drive it a little bit, again giving it some more compression and digital distortion, but it sounds like analog kind of. Tone knob and then filtering it out. Yeah, it just kind of makes it sound more vintage. To fill up the high end on the piano, I took this Rhodes one shot and I copied the same pattern over. I took out some of the high notes up here. I don't think I took out any other notes, but it sounds like this. For the effects on that, I've got a sound shifter pitching it up an octave, EQ filtering out some of the highs and lows, effect rack, I have another filter on the high end, micro shift giving it a wider feel. It's a chorus plugin. I use it in all my beats, you guys know. Echo Boy Jr. 8th delay with the ambient preset on, just giving it more of like a roomy delayed feel, and then this radiator amp taking out some of the lows and adding back some of the highs. Underneath all of that, I've got a little bit of a reverb, 2.5 second delay, but mix is turned down to 35%, again just giving it more space. If you guys know my style of production, you know I'm always adding vocal chops to my samples, but these beats specifically definitely need one. For the effects on this, again jumping back into effect rack with pretty much the same preset, low pass filter with filter freak, micro shift giving it a chorusy wide effect, radiator amp taking out all the lows and adding back a lot of highs, and then a phase mistress. This is just a fancy phaser. It kind of gave it a cool vibe to it, so I just left it on. EQ boosting up some highs, giving it some air, taking out unwanted lows down here. Ozone imager, I wasn't too happy with how wide it was sounding. I wanted it bigger. I wanted it in both ears.
What do you mean by that?
This is definitely doing that. If you guys don't have Ozone Imager, I think it's free. You should definitely hop on it. And then another reverb, just giving it more space, 2.1 second decay with a 35% mix on it. So far, our sample is sounding like this. The next thing that I added was this texture phrase that I got from a kit. I didn't do too much to it. It's just got reverb and EQ on it, but it fills up some of the space and it sounds like this. And lastly, of course, went into Analog Labs, got a synth bass, followed the root notes, and then down here I added just a couple extra notes leading us back to the beginning. I also added this atmosphere sound underneath all of this. It's kind of just background noise, but it fills up a little bit of the high end and it just kind of gives the whole sample a vibe. Everything put together sounds like this. sample is sounding pretty cool, but it's also sounding pretty sad and dark. In order to get that energetic vibe that we're going for, I pitched it up 7 semitones and it sounds like this. Before I get into the drums, I wanted to go over how I made the verse section of the sample without adding anything. I wanted to take the energy of the chorus section from up here and kind of just mellow it out without losing any of the sounds or the vibe. In order to do that, I ran it through Deja Vu, which again just half times everything, pitches it down an octave, and I also added this Fruity Love filter. It's just a low pass filter, but it sounds better than adding just a regular EQ, in my opinion. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Adding those two effects gives really good contrast between each section, and it also gives artists like LAROI room to just talk their shit. For these energetic type of beats, I like to use hard-hitting snares, and in order to get that sound, I like to layer 2 different snares on top of each other, giving me a sound like this. Since the beat is already pretty fast, I don't like to do too much with the hi-hats, which is why I went with the simple 2-step. For the 808, I went with the spins, but I kind of wanted a kick to be the main focus, so I turned it down a ton and I found a kick that meshed well together, and it sounds like this. The last sound that I added was just this open hat that hits on some of the kick and 808 hits. Putting all of those together gives you a super complex drum pattern that sounds like this. The arrangement in these type of beats is super important. Like I said earlier, you want contrast between the different sections, but you also don't want to lose steam. You kind of want to keep the energy going the whole time. For my beat, the whole sample plays here at the beginning. I drop everything but the piano and bass out and add the filter in for these first 16 bars, which is like the verse section, I guess. I introduce the hi-hats and the snare right here, right before the drop. I take the filter out, everything's back in the sample. All the drums are hitting. I added this little riser effect to just give it a build. After the hook, I go into this verse section right here where I introduce the filter and the halftime, which gives that contrast that I was talking about earlier. I take out the kick for the first 8 bars, no open hat the whole time. I take out the hi-hat for the last 8 bars, and then the last bar leading up to the next chorus, I add the riser and take out all the drums right here. Pretty simple stuff when it comes to these type of beats. It always seems like there's a lot going on, but underneath the hood, you just gotta have a good sample, some hard-hitting drums, and a good arrangement to keep the energy flowing. I'm gonna play you guys the final beat now. If you got something out of this video, drop your boy a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. I appreciate y'all for watching.